I'm here at the Sydney Royal Cheese and Dairy Produce Show at the RAS Showgrounds in Sydney. I'm one of the cheese and dairy judges, and with me is another judge, Adam Moore. Adam Moore is one of Australia's busiest chefs. He's a TV presenter, teacher, mentor, and award-winning chef, yet he does not have his own restaurant. Adam is a corporate chef and is the chef behind some of the biggest brands in Australian supermarkets, working with food corporations such as Arnott's, Mars, Cerebos and George Weston Foods in product development and innovation from concept to shelf. Adam, welcome to G&M.
Mate, thank you for that great introduction.
Tell me, what's your basic philosophy on food and cooking? And
I think the best thing I could ever think of is that I'm creating products that a consumer or a person will pick up and enjoy. And the more people I can influence their menu choice or their dinner at home, then I'm doing the right thing. Whether that be for education, whether that be on TV or creating a product, my philosophy is it's like a chef in a restaurant. When you create a dish for someone and you see that they're enjoying it, you get that instant satisfaction. Mine is very different because it's a brand that I'm working behind. A lot of people don't know, but when I hear them mention that brand or I had X for dinner, it's just the same reaction and it's so exciting. So
why did you move from being a traditional sort of chef to that? Is it because you don't get that instant gratification?
No, so I've been in restaurants. I was hotel fine dining, did my traditional training, went overseas for a while, and really learnt and honed my craft. So I become a pastry chef, a qualified butcher, a trained charcuterist, and I was interested in food in general. So always looking for something different, and I fell into it by accident, into the corporate world. I went to a sales role, and from there I used my chef skills and all those things, being a baker, being a pastry chef, being a butcher. My first real role was KR Castlemaine, which had small goods, got bought by Don, which was owned by George Weston, and to become a corporate exec chef across multiple brands, and I could switch out. It was just so funny that my career had kind of pushed me there.
Okay, and obviously taking a product from product development all the way through to a supermarket shelf can take a long while. Do you want to take us through the process?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, we start with the culinary standard, and that's the most important thing, and I think a lot of people don't realise when food is developed for Woolworths and Coles or for food service, there is an actual standard behind it that starts out. So we'll start with the culinary expression, we'll start with a benchmark, and from there I can create what's called the gold standard. And the gold standard is my translation that I want to put in the factory. So if I, for example, and I'll just use this for saying, a lobster soup, if I wanted to create lobster soup in a can, then I'd create the best tasting lobster soup and what do I like about it. And then I do what's called flavour mapping, which is a process in itself. And then from there, I translate, depending on the factory equipment or the machines, and what we call scale up, and translate with R&D scientists to create the product without losing that essence of why a product is great. A lot of food companies, unfortunately, create a product because marketing created a name that the consumer loved, and unfortunately the flavour doesn't match, it doesn't pair. And so they create it, just recently, a Lamington chip. It was terrible, and not picking on Smiths. It was just because a potato base doesn't work with chocolate or coconut, and to make matters worse, they use carob. So as a chef, I know that what works with each base, what key flavour notes go into each dish that people are looking for, and companies always need to make mass scale. To make a tomato sauce from a kitchen to a factory is a very different process, but it's so enjoyable because I'm now making a recipe that's going to go to multi-millions of homes. And one product I had on the market, every 3 seconds someone was picking up. That is when you go, I'm influencing the decision of food.
Okay, and so who comes up with the basic ideas?
So it depends on who it is. So normally it would start with a trend, and you work with marketing, R&D groups, and work out where we're going to sit. Normally the trends are decided by a chef or from a consumer insights person. marry them together, and you kind of come up with the idea, and that's when I start the culinary process after that. So,
And what's the strangest request you've had to work on?
I've done lots of food brands in my time, everything from beverage right through to food. The strangest one would be a lobster soup in a can, because lobster doesn't like high heat and loses flavour. Right. Also working with truffle too. Truffle in a big factory doesn't always translate like it does on a plate. So the flavour is quite sensitive, and heat and other ingredients can affect that quite easily.
Obviously, I mean, a canned product, consumer products have to have a long shelf life.
Yes.
How do you factor that into the better quality products?
So you look at a couple of things. Process, for example, is not too different from the kitchen. I treat a whole factory as a big kitchen. And you look at how it is, if you had a steam kettle, it would be the same thing as a retort process, very similar in there. And retort's that high heat can process, so we don't get any bacterias. You put the foods in, and then you put flavours to make sure they complement. Because some of the flavours, like I said, truffle or something like, might be sensitive to heat, and you lose that essence. What else do I add in there to keep that there? You still got to keep it true to brand, but you also got to keep it true to what the consumer's expectations are.
Do you take a minimalist approach to additives?
I try to where I can. I prefer not. I would rather have food as it is. And as a chef too, that can do food for styling and recipe. If I create a recipe, I want you to succeed. I'll test that recipe so that I fail, that no one else is going to fail. Because there's nothing more disheartening to get something that you want to taste, and it doesn't lead to expectations, or you see a photo of food and you go, oh, I want to cook that, and they cook it and it's not the same result. I think it's that education piece has been important for me, because I wanted 3 careers in my life. I wanted to be a chef, a teacher, or in theatre. And funnily enough, I'm on TV. I'm teaching and mentoring young chefs every day, and also educating people for like Woolworths, Coles, food service distributors, and then I'm also cooking at the same time. So I think I've achieved the ultimate goal of having all my careers and hobbies all into one, and doing what I'm doing now. Trifecta.
Definitely. And what product are you most proud of?
Product that I'm most proud of would probably be Love Bite, which is a drink in conjunction with Frucor that I was so passionate about. I was lucky to work Frucor as a sister company, and Love Bite is a drink, was the first chef crafted soda. It was a soft drink that was also to pair with food, and looking at the science, using natural ingredients, using less sugar than what the competitors were, and creating a product that is just unbelievable. Unfortunately, it hasn't had as many legs as I would like it to, but marrying it with burger places has probably been my triumph in my career, that it's a soft drink that pairs, and even went to the International Beverage Awards globally, and for a new drink to get on an international scale like that is phenomenal. So,
okay. One extra question.
Yes.
I recently saw in the supermarket a vegan product. It was a vegan prawn in Mornay sauce, I think, and there were also vegan schnitzels, pork schnitzels. Is there really a place for such things?
Quite controversially, I'm going to say no. Why are we recreating, a burger to bleed like a meat patty when, what's the point of it? You're using more ingredients, and sometimes more artificial ingredients, in that product to make that product. I would rather do you a fantastic eggplant parmigiana or a schnitzel, done with, where it's still going to have flavour and texture. Why are we recreating it? Because I know for a fact that to recreate a chicken kind of texture, you're going to get a bit of rubberiness coming from whatever you're using, and depending on what you use. And we're spending so much money on research to create. Is it because we're fear of missing out? I don't think we should have to recreate a prawn to create a great dish, we should be able to have vegan options that still taste fantastic, that are natural, because we talk about natural as a trend, and people are worried about what's going in the food. But with this vegan trend, yes, okay, I get about animal hurt, being hurt, but Australia has some of the best on record of how we treat our animals. And people want to challenge me on that, go right ahead, because I've been across a lot of farms. Don't recreate the wheel with something with E numbers and all that just because you want a product to have a similar look and feel. Why are we doing that?
Great. Thank you, Adam. Really
thank
appreciate
you.
your time today, and wish you luck on the next major project.
Thank you. I've always got lots happening, so thank you very much for your time too.
Thank you, Adam.